Yeah mate, I'm Vamsy with Player's Narrative Eye. Most detective games give the promise of playing Sherlock, but you only get good at smoking crack like him, but are kinda whack at solving crimes. I'll see myself out. The majority of AAA games get the smoking, hat wearing, think 'em up part right, but that's about it. They almost always hold your hand and solve the crime for you. It's the indie games that have the balls to let you solve that shit on your own, cause they don't give a flying fuck if you don't buy their games on Steam. Of course, any smart detective games enthusiast would comment below about the ones that they enjoyed, but these are some of the best games that let me deduct things on my own and really made me feel like Sherlock. Number 1. Return of the Obradinn. Video games have done pirates before, but none quite like Obradinn. Created by Lucas Pope, the guy behind Papers, Please, Obradinn is a detective game where you figure out the fates of the crew of a merchant ship as an insurance adjuster. You use your pocket watch to watch the final moments of a person and deduce his identity and cause of death using names, position on the ship, relationships, and even something trivial like boat numbers or props. What I think makes this game a cut above others is that there isn't any prompt or dialogue tree to choose from. You have to make your reason from a pool of possible answers like how they died, be it stabbed, shot, crushed, poisoned, struck, etc. With you having to bookend them with your answer, which is really hard to just brute force. It does nudge you in the right direction by telling you once you've got 3 of them right. Brilliant stuff. Number 2. Her Story. This FME interactive game has you sifting through a wonky police database to figure out who killed this woman's husband. The interesting thing about this game is that you don't need to collect evidence or question people, you just examine the evidence one clip at a time to figure out what happened. Her Story has you typing into the database to find relevant clips and piece together the narrative of a murder mystery. Like say you type in Simon and you find these clips, and then you spot The Rock, and then you type that in, and then you find Eric, and so on. It's essentially an open world in terms of search. You can search any term you want. If it matches the tapes, you get 5 results at a time. You wouldn't stumble onto revealing information right away, as Sam Barlow cleverly makes sure that there's divergence or a threshold of revealing story information that's been met by the player. So yes, it's not your typical Sherlock game, but it makes for a riveting gameplay as a detective than most of them out there. Number 3. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. This one is an open world exploration game where you piece the narrative together by solving each death in the Carter family. You need to number the sequence of each incident in a paranormal ghost-like way to figure out how they died. This means the player has to examine and comprehend each scenario where they identify important objects and reimagine the appropriate timeline to progress further and solve the deaths. I know this isn't as deep or involving as the first 2, but I still like it for its simple yet effective approach to solving a crime. Number 4. The Shiva. I played Shiva during lunch breaks at work, and I was utterly engrossed by this cute little point-and-click adventure game. You play as a rabbi in a New York synagogue. He looks into a case where one of his ex-congregates is murdered. The Shiva has puzzles that can give you a sense of rush and satisfaction when you solve them. You'd need to pay attention to username, passwords, or put together the first and last name of a person. It's a short yet sharp game about Jewish themes and solving a murder. The story doesn't progress until you come along and solve it yourself. Now that's one hell of a detective game. Number 5. Detective Grimoire. Like much of the above games, this one makes you do the detective work instead of just presenting an option for you. You play as the eponymous character to solve the killing of a Remington Richard. Most of your involvement is either inspecting objects and putting them in your pocket and conversing with suspects or witnesses. But instead of the game automatically giving you the solution, you put together the answers by using combinations of all the clues you've collected so far. So you can't really guess your way out. This system is clever enough to prompt you a little and make sure that your involvement and engagement is necessary. It's a simple story, but playing as this particular detective is enthralling to say the least. There's even a sequel out there on Apple Arcade, which I'm quite excited to play. I know there's more games out there like this, and I can count to 10, you know. I'm not a complete idiot. But these were the ones that I felt deserved my top 5 spots in my list. Thanks for watching, subscribe to support my channel, and like the video if you did. Sure.